Doctor, I'm a Time Lord. I'm from the planet Gallifrey in the constellation of Kasterborous.
I hope the ears are a bit less conspicuous this time.
You might be a doctor, but I am
I'm a doctor, but probably not the one you expected.
Absolutely fantastic.
All of time and space, everything that ever happened or ever will. Where do you want to start?
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Big on the Inside, a New Who Doctor Who Watch Along podcast with me, Tim Saxby, and my very nice friend, Harry Murdoch. Hi, Harry.
Oh yeah, I'm nice. that's the nicest thing anyone's said to me all day.
Now, I'll tell you what is nice. Doctor Who Series 1's pretty nice, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's really nice. Yeah.
So I think
It's a nice
Chef's
piece
kiss.
of TV. Mwah.
I feel like what we should do then is we should rank every single freaking episode of Doctor Who Series 1. How do you think about that, Harry?
Well, that's a swell idea you spontaneously just thought of, Tim.
It really is. So there's 13 episodes. We could start at the very bottom of the list with what we think the worst are, and then get into the creme de la creme at the very top.
Oh, that was a bad roll of the. I mean, I can't do any better. But,
well. So do you want to go first with episode 13? What was your least favourite episode?
I think we'll both be in agreement of this.
Father's
My
Day.
least favourite episode. What?
Father's Day?
No. It's the long game.
Oh, yes, the long game. Yes. No, of course it's a long game. It's dreadful.
Yeah. I didn't find it dreadful. I just found it very, very kind of inconsequential.
Yeah.
There's, in terms of like the whole series, it doesn't really do much to progress the plot beyond introducing Satellite 5, which it doesn't really need to do.
No.
And as an episode by itself, there's just a lot going on. It's a bit muddled. Kind of the saving grace is Simon Pegg, because he's always fun to watch. But beyond that, there's not really much.
It's an episode that is just there to serve the purpose of there being 13 episodes, I feel. They were commissioned 13 episodes, and they very quickly, well, not very quickly, they realised that there was maybe some filler that needed to be stuffed in there, and the long game is one of those episodes.
And obviously, Russell T Davies has written most of the episodes, hasn't he? He's written, if I just count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He wrote 8 of these 13 episodes, I'm pretty sure. So,
yeah.
Like, the fact that he managed to write as much as he did kind of is commendable, but maybe he stretched himself a little too thin with this first series. That being said, it's a really strong series overall.
Oh, no, definitely,
yeah. But unfortunately, a lot of the episodes towards the bottom are kind of all the Russell T Davies episodes, and that's not a reflection on him as a writer. That's just a reflection of how many episodes he did, and just how exceptional the episodes by non-Russell writers are.
Yeah, I'm looking at my list now, and the top 4 episodes on my list are Russell T Davies written episodes, but I've said too much. I also have The Long Game as my least favourite episode, number 13 on the list. Like I said, I believe it's only there to serve the purpose of there being 13 episodes. Do you feel that Doctor Who could do with a shorter run? I always feel maybe around 10 or 11 episodes would be enough.
Yeah. I mean, looking at this series, there are a couple episodes where if they were got rid of, I wouldn't miss them. But at the same time, I'm kind of glad this run is as long as it is, because it's Eccleston's only series. And so, have to make the most of him while we had him.
Yeah.
Which they certainly did.
Number 12 on your list, what do you have?
I have Boomtown.
Same here.
Ooh. Not going to be as controversial as I thought.
Boomtown, I have second on the list because I feel it serves more of a purpose than The Long Game, but I also feel it is an episode that was written to fill a space. If you actually go back and listen to our episode on Boomtown, sorry, I think you mentioned the reason why that episode actually exists, and it's more of a cover-up for an even worse episode.
Yeah, there was going to be a very questionable episode in its place, and obviously, kind of they quickly ditched that and wrote something they could easily film in Cardiff. And the reason it's higher is that it's kind of a bit of a novelty this episode, just to kind of see the Doctor and his TARDIS team just kind of hanging out and having a bit of a chill time. Although at the
Yeah.
same time, there aren't really any stakes with this episode, so it's kind of a give and take. And while it's kind of a cute kind of novelty, and I'm kind of, there are some moments between the four of them that I do enjoy. It's not really what you come to Doctor Who for.
No, definitely. It's a very good Mickey episode.
Yeah, and I love Mickey.
Yeah, so number 11 on your list, what do you have?
At number 11, I have, sorry, Russell, The End of the World.
No, same here.
Really.
The end of the world as well.
What's your reason for putting The End of the World here?
I feel like there's a lot of potential with a story like that. I feel it's it's not a nothing episode because stuff happens in it, and there's a good scene with Rose and the Doctor, and Rose standing up for herself and sort of saying, "Who even are you?" You know, she really starts to sort of think about what she's doing. But I think it's the aesthetics of it I don't like. I don't like the look of it. It feels very dated when I look at it. It feels very
Absolutely, there's a
Picard,
lot of
Star Trek.
CG.
Yeah, it doesn't, and even the sets and the costume, it doesn't feel very Who at all.
It's quite. I remember seeing some critics kind of reviewing the first two episodes, and they compared it to kind of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And
Yes,
it
I
kind of
guess
gave
it
off
is.
that
Yeah,
vibe. Yeah, and there's a lot of kind of very colourful, quirky, kind of different alien races and characters, and you're kind of witnessing this quite bizarre kind of event, the end of the world. It's kind of this kind of high end VIP event, and it's kind of interesting as a concept. I just kind of wish that they'd dug a bit deeper with it.
oh, no,
Like you said, the
definitely.
stuff between Rose and the Doctor is great, and I kind of said I love the dialogue between them throughout the series, particularly that stuff written by Russell, and that really kind of is what makes the episode for me.
Yeah,
Just kind of the actual framework for the episode, I feel like it could have been explored a bit more, or I would have liked to have seen it explored a bit more.
yeah, no, I agree. Number 10 on your list, what do you have?
For number 10, I have World War Three.
Oh, I don't have World War Three. You go to why you have put World War Three there.
World War Three, like this is a straight up a fun episode. It's a fun time, and we get to see. We talked about it in the one fantastic scene. So clearly, there's something we like in it, even if it's Mickey and Jackie as opposed to the Doctor.
Yes.
But really, kind of, I really like Mickey and Jackie, and I like their dynamic with Rose and their relationship to the Doctor, and kind of the questions that brings up. That's my favorite thing. I think the Slovene are, while they're a bit goofy, I find them to be kind of a fun villain, and they do kind of pose a genuine threat. Harriet Jones, seeing her working with the Doctor and Rose and kind of really, having a lot about her, she's a very endearing character. This is just a straight up fun time. Like, this is kind of where in my list I go from kind of episodes that I kind of wish there was a bit more from to episodes I, enjoy as a whole package.
So that's interesting because what I've picked for episode 10, I believe, picks up on what you dislike about World War Three, and I've picked Aliens of London, which is the first part of
Oh,
World War Three. Obviously it's a two parts. I've put Aliens of London down there. I know you really like it because you really like the human aspect and how the world actually reacts to, the invasion of aliens. The reason I put it low is because even though it's about the invasion of aliens, there isn't a lot of alien in it. You don't see much Slovene till right at the end. You get Harriet Jones, but I
Yeah.
feel the more you get more. I'm trying to think of another word that isn't girth. You get more I can't think of of another word. You get more out of it in World War Three, I think.
Yeah, it's more action packed. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why I've put Aliens of London slightly lower.
Yeah.
So what do you have for number
I guess
9?
it's
Oh,
kind
sorry,
of the
go on,
fact
go on.
that- I guess it's kind of the fact that Aliens of London is kind of like this build up and it's kind of the mystery. And then by the end of it, the mystery is largely solved. And so World War 3 is kind of a response to mystery.
Yes.
I have Aliens of London at number 9.
Ah.
And yeah, it's not much between them because I kind of think of them in my mind as one story. But Aliens of London, like you said, I prefer it just because I really like what Russell T Davies does with world building in his other shows and in this show, and kind of showing how the world reacts to an alien invasion, First Contact, seeing kind of how news outlets report on it, and kind of seeing just like regular people in Jackie's apartment. That stuff, that very, like you said, that very kind of human grounded aspect, I just get a lot out of. I really enjoy seeing.
Yeah, I really enjoyed. I enjoyed both these episodes. For number 9 on my list, I have The Unquiet Dead.
Oh, really? So
Yeah,
World War 3 is like quite a bit higher.
Yeah, Unquiet Dead, I have at number 9, mainly because I like it, but I don't really feel the Gelf is that interesting. I really like the Charles Dickens character, the Charles Dickens persona that is portrayed in the episode. I really like that, and I think that's almost spot on with what most people would imagine Charles Dickens to look like and act. But I feel the actual bulk of the episode is a bit flat. I did really enjoy it, though. I did enjoy it. It was the first episode that I wasn't looking forward to watching, but enjoyed more than I was imagining I would.
That's interesting. Because I remember early on in the series, kind of The Unquiet Dead, before we got to kind of the second half, was kind of really up there. So it's kind of come down in your summations, like as we've gone on.
I'm not sure if it's come down because what I've done is I've
I remember
I've kept my
it was
original.
definitely above.
I've kept my original 6, my original 6 ranking, and I've just slotted in the second half of the series. So I don't think it's changed that much.
I thought before The Unquiet Dead was above Rose.
I don't think it was, no.
Oh, I guess I missed. Maybe that was me. Maybe that was my list.
Maybe, yeah, maybe. So that's our number 9. Number 8, what have you got on there, Harry?
My number 8 is Bad Wolf.
Oh.
Yeah. Another one of the really fun Russell episodes. I really like just kind of, it's quite nostalgic for me. Like kind of seeing kind of all these kind of futuristic dystopian parodies of 2005 TV shows that are no longer on the air. It's just, for me, it's just kind of a very novel concept, very fun and very of its era in kind of the best way. And then the end, the cliffhanger, revealing the Daleks is just such a good cliffhanger. The thing the Doctor says at the end, and just kind of the first part of solving the mystery of Bad Wolf. Bad Wolf is kind of a very intriguing kind of series arc right up to the end for me.
Yeah.
And so and also Jack. I think this might be my favorite episode for Jack in series 1. I just really like kind of his moments, especially interacting with the robot tree and Susanna. It's just a lot of fun. I know that's kind of not the deepest reason, but this is just an episode I had a lot of fun watching.
Yeah, well, on my list at number 8, I've got Rose.
Oh, okay.
So, an episode that maybe a lot of people would have a lot higher. I have quite, sort of in the middle, mainly because, it is a really good episode, but I feel there are better stories that hit home more than Rose does. Rose is a really good opener, but that doesn't necessarily make it the best in the series for me.
Yeah. So moving on to number 7. My number 7, bang in the middle, it is Rose.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, and it's like you said, it's a similar thing. As an opener, not just to this series, but to Doctor Who as a whole, I don't think they could have had it more pitch perfect.
Yeah.
I think that just the way it introduces these characters, the Doctor, the TARDIS, all of that, I think it's just like perfect. It's the perfect introduction to the show. If someone's going to get into Doctor Who, show them Rose. And Rose is just, it's great. The chemistry between Billy Piper and Chris Eccleston, they hit it out of the park. It's brilliant. Like I said, way back when, the Autons were a great choice for a first villain.
Yes.
It's just, it gets so many things right straight out the bat. The only reason it's in the middle is just because I think that there's so many good episodes. Like, I think this is when it goes from like good fun episodes for me to great episodes.
Yeah,
and
no,
I
I agree.
Kind of, Rose is kind of like a great opener, and to say that half of series 1 in my mind is great is that's very high praise.
Yeah, I think we should stress
very high praise.
even though we're ranking these episodes, at no point would I ever say any of these episodes are bad television. Not at all.
I think you might say The Long Game is bad television.
Oh no, The Long Game is bad television, but
I don't hate The Long Game.
Exactly. They're not. I'm not saying that these are rubbish or anything like that. It's just compared to the standard. If that was on another TV show, the chances are I'd think it was a really good episode. But because the rest of the episodes in this series are such standouts, it overshadows a lot of the weaker episodes. And what number was that? Was that number 7?
What's your number 7?
Number 7 for me. I've got World War III.
Oh, okay. So it's moderately higher up.
Yeah, I've got it there. Sorry.
What is it about World War III that puts it so much higher above Aliens of London for you?
It's because I think it builds on Aliens of London. There's a lot more Harriet Jones in there that I really do like. I like the phone call with Mickey, Jackie, and the Doctor, and Jackie asking if the Doctor can keep Rose safe. I enjoy
that
the
is
Slovene.
One fantastic scene.
Yeah, I enjoy the Slovene a lot. I think they're really, really funny. I just think it's just a fun episode of Doctor Who. I feel it's very classic Doctor Who as well.
Quintessential.
Yes, yeah, definitely, yeah. So number 6, what do you have, Harold?
My number 6 is the first non-Russell episode of my list, The Unquiet Dead.
Ooh.
Yeah, like you, I was surprised by how much I enjoyed this episode, but it just left me with a really good feeling. Charles, it's just kind of really joyous to watch. Charles Dickens is a great kind of temporary companion. The scenes between the Doctor and him are great. I feel like kind of the moral kind of conundrum that kind of the what they called the aliens. You said it earlier. The Gelf, yeah. Well, I don't remember them very well. I feel like what they present to the Doctor and how they challenge the Doctor is really interesting. I'm a real sucker for Victorian London, that aesthetic. I really like it. And just the ending just kind of leaves you feeling really kind of like nice inside. I really like it. I think I'll have to wait until later on to confirm this, but in my mind, this is my favorite episode of Doctor Who written by Mark Gatiss. I think it's a great piece of work. It's just kind of, for me, I always preferred kind of the Doctor Who episodes in the past. And for me, this is kind of quintessential Doctor Who.
Oh, cool. Well, for number 6 on my list, I've got Bad Wolf.
Ooh.
Yeah, so it's almost bang in the middle. Bad Wolf, mainly because I like the silliness of the game show aspects and him being in Big Brother and the weakest link. I think it's just, it is very 2005. Maybe that's why I like it, because I can vaguely relate to that era quite well. So yeah, I just think it's fun, and I feel some sort of a privilege to be able to really appreciate it for what it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I feel like 7-year-olds now watching, they still be like, "What's the weakest link? What's Big Brother?" These programs that aren't even on anymore. But we grew up watching these types of programs, so I do feel a slight privilege to be able to understand what the heck a lot of this episode is on about, and know who people like Trini and Susanna are.
Yeah. Kids these days, like the android joke will just go completely over their heads.
Yeah, it's like what you said when we did this episode. It'd be Bradley Bot.
Oh yeah, Bradley Mott.
on the chase. One
And
thing
it's
that
like these giant robots are actually chasing them.
yes, yes, yes. One thing that I did find out about this episode, and I was going to mention it to you. We talked about the fact that when they say you're live on channel 3000, please do not swear, and the doctor says you've got to be kidding me. They did actually
Yeah.
record several versions of Christopher Eccleston swearing.
Oh, I wish they went with that. Oh,
But I don't
because
feel
that's
like
what
I
I
don't feel
said. I
like
wish they did that.
I don't think it was a case of him going, "You have got to be taking that," and then it cut. I
Yeah.
think it was Jamie. Apologies for the bad language about
But-
here. I believe it was Christopher Eccleston going, "You can fuck off," or something like that. Of him
That's
actually
brilliant.
swearing.
Oh, that's fantastic.
But
That is
those scenes are out
fantastic.
there, and I want to see those deleted scenes.
They're probably like somewhere in the BBC archives, if even
Locked
that.
behind a key. We'll release them when Christopher Eccleston bad mouses. So what's next? We've got number 5. What do you have as number 5 on your list, Terry?
Number 5 for me is the parting of the ways.
Well done on correcting yourself.
Yeah, nearly. I'd written it as the ways as well. I just,
So why is that?
I think it's a great finale. It's a great send off to Ninth Doctor. I think it ties up, and a lot of kind of things from throughout the series really effectively. I think that the kind of conclusions to some of these characters' kind of emotional kind of journeys and arcs over this series are paid off well. And then the regeneration scene is just really, really well handled, and
Yeah.
the build up to it. It's a great finale. Just like Rose couldn't have had a better introduction than Rose. I don't think you could have had a better series finale.
I agree. I
Parting
also
of
have
Ways.
The Parting of Ways as number 5 on my list as well. Mainly for those reasons that it is just perfect, isn't it? There's a few things you could maybe change.
Yeah.
Maybe it is slightly dated in 2005. Maybe there's slight bits about it that I don't particularly like, but I couldn't really put my finger on it. So number 4, what you got there, Harry?
Number 4, this is the part where I'm like, these last 4 for me are like some of the best, not just in this series, but like some of the best Doctor Who, like, yeah, especially, well, or at least New Who ever.
Yeah.
Like, these are like top tier, cream of a crop Doctor Who for me. And so number 4, I have Father's Day.
Hey, same here.
Yeah, for me, Father's Day, it's probably kind of the most emotionally driven. I kind of, watching it, there were parts where I, felt like I could have teared up potentially. It's the exploration of Rose, kind of meeting her father, finding out he's not everything that Jackie had told him to be, kind of the fact that this episode actually explains why you can't go around changing history in a way that's not just kind of expository, in a way that actually really shows it, and that really kind of, plays to the advantage of the story. Great performances all around, especially from Billy Piper.
Definitely, yeah.
And I can't remember the name of the actress who plays Jackie, but she's
I can never remember
great
either. It's
as
like
well.
Camilla something, but I can never quite put my finger on
That rings a
pronunciation.
bell, yeah. It's just a really good episode, and considering it's kind of apparently the low budget episode.
Yeah, the
of
Dr.
series,
Light
like,
episode, isn't it? Yeah.
the Dr. Light episode, it doesn't feel like it. It doesn't feel like it takes a hit because of it. In ways you can say it plays to its strength, similarly to other Dr. Light episodes. It's just, it's a very satisfying, even as like a standalone story, which is how I originally saw it on TV. I saw it after Series 1 had originally aired.
Yeah.
And I'm glad
Don't
it
give
did,
away
because
don't give away which your first episode of Doctor Who was.
I won't do. I'll say that when we get to it. But I feel like it's kind of essential. It's an essential viewing, even if you didn't start with Rose for some bizarre reason. This is kind of essential viewing, not just because it explains why you can't change history in the show, but also because it's just a brilliant episode.
No, definitely. And I think that's something that these top 4 episodes have, is that I wouldn't say there's anything wrong with these episodes, but each episode that follows in this list is a more outstanding episode. But the episode that was previous to it, there's nothing wrong with that at all.
Mm.
It's like having a really nice Galaxy chocolate and then being given £1,000 chocolate bar. They're both going to be really nice, but one is just slightly better than the other.
Yeah.
So what's next on your list for number 3, the top 3? What have you got?
Okay. Number 3 is The Empty Child.
Ooh, different to me.
Oh, really?
Yes, but you go
I'll ask you about
first.
yours. The Empty Child is the opening of the best two-parter of this series, in my opinion. Stephen Moffat's first story in Doctor Who,
Yeah.
or at least in the TV show. I'm not sure if he did any Big Finish or novels before.
I think he did a few
this.
novels, yeah.
Ah, cool. But it's, it's everything I've used the phrase quintessential Doctor Who a lot. I'm going to use it again because this just, it's, it's creepy, it's funny, it's fast paced, it's got a real paciness, a real energy to it. The Empty Child is one of the freakiest Doctor Who monsters, one of the freakiest things in any kind of show targeted at a child demographic.
Yeah.
Creepy. Really freaky. So freaky. Just the way he looks, the way he talks. The supporting cast of characters is great. From him to Nancy to Captain Jack, of course, is introduced in this episode.
Yeah.
There's a lot going for the Empty Child.
Yeah. He's a really nice guy in real life as well. Episode number 3 on my list for me, I've got Dalek.
Oh, okay.
Mainly because everything you just said about the Empty Child, I totally agree with. I think it's a really amazing episode. Sort of giving away my top 2 there. But Dalek is such a good episode. It was an episode that for me had the same effect as The Unquiet Dead, which was just a Dalek episode, innit? I'll watch this. But then when I actually watched it, sat down and enjoyed it, I was blown away by it. It was really amazing.
Sorry, number 2. I just want to say, kind of, with this top 3, I really struggled.
Yes, I did, yeah.
I could reorder this top 3 and any which way, especially number 2 and number 1. It was tough. But my number 2 is the second part of the same story, The Doctor Dances.
Yeah.
The Doctor Dances it's kind of almost kind of blissful in just how it's executed. Just again, that paciness, that energy, even more so than the first part. The way that it kind of doesn't just, the way it kind of continues the mystery, continues to solve it, and how each kind of reveal is, just goes to the last. Just so many set pieces, equally iconic, if not more iconic than the first part. And just the ending is just so, just, it's just so uplifting, overwhelmingly so. And, it's great. It's great. The Doctor Dances, just so many things I could pick out. The chemistry between Jack, Rose, and the Doctor dancing, the scene between Doctor and Rose talking about them dancing, just everybody lives. Everybody lives, Rose. Everybody lives.
Hey, came back out.
Yeah. I'm not going to be able to do it for much longer.
Look,
the Doctor Dances is great.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you now, my second episode is The Empty Child. My top episode is The Doctor Dances. I'm not even going to bother explaining why, because I would only end up echoing everything you just said. So you go straight on to what your top episode is.
My top episode, which I can just gush about today, it was nearly dethroned by The Doctor Dances and All the Empty Child. And maybe with more time it will be. Just because those episodes were so good. I forgot just how good they were. But my number 1 still stands as Dalek. Possibly my favourite Doctor Who episode ever.
I think you said that when we
Every Child and
recorded
Doctor
it. Yeah.
Dances, yeah. Every Child and Doctor Dances, I think, are probably my favorite Moffat story, and Dalek is, I think, just straight up my favorite Doctor Who story. Just the way it handles the Dalek, the way he's such a threat, the way they really kind of delve into it, and the Doctor's relationship with it. This episode provides, I think, Eccleston's best performance during his whole tenure. There's and kind of the moment at the end where it's him, Rose, and the Dalek all standing off against each other is just so charged. Just with and like, sorry. When I really like something, I just go into making noises of
Look,
appreciation.
I'm gonna stop you there because we are going to revisit Dalek at some point. Because you can go back and listen to the original recording of that, which turns into a complete disaster in the last 15 minutes. So we are going to redo Dalek. We're going to do Dalek Revisited at some point. This is sort of the end of Series 1 then. We did Parting of Waves last week, eventually. And then this week we've done a Series 1 recap. I suppose I can give a little insight into what's to come. So we've got the Series 1 recap. I think we're going to do some Series 13 predictions. We have a really exciting video coming out on the 9th of November. There's been some rumours about Series 13 that I'd like to discuss with Harry as well. Then we've got Dalek Revisited, the Three Doctors. I've got another interview coming up with a Doctor Who artist who, well, I say Doctor Who artist, they haven't done any official Doctor Who published work, but they have a comic book coming out and they have a big interest in Doctor Who. I'd like to talk about some concept art as well and how that changes. I've got another Big Finish video coming out with Harrison. And then we're going to do Born Again before going into the Series 2. So cool.
Sounds good. We've got a lot in the pipeline.
A lot coming out between now and the 28th of December, which is what I have lined up till. So, yeah,
very,
cool.
Very content.
Yeah, so stay tuned for the Series 13 predictions coming out around the 6th of November. Maybe, maybe not. We're not sure yet. So I'll say goodbye. Bye, everybody. Harry, do you want to say anything?
Yep. Bye-bye.
Oh, that was...
And before I go, I want you to know that you were fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. And you know what? Why don't you just die?
Hey!
Don't forget to click below to subscribe to the official
Bigger on the Inside podcast.